plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we often say, I'm tired. But what if you're not? Plan. What if what you're truly feeling isn't exhaustion, but disconnection? Plan. What if the heaviness you carry isn't because you could have done too much, but because you've stopped doing what lights you up? Plan. You see, there is a kind of tired that no amount of sleep can fix. A kind of emptiness that no amount of rest can heal. Plan. It's the fatigue that creeps in when your purpose fades into the background. Plan. It's the weight that settles in your chest when your dreams have been paused for too long. And the truth is, you're not tired. You're uninspired. You've been stuck in routines that drain you, surrounded by noise that drowns out your inner voice. Plan. You don't need more sleep. You need more soul. You don't need longer breaks. You need a reason to get back up. Plan. You don't need more silence. You need to start listening to the whispers of the life that's calling you. Today, plan. Let's break the lie. Let's wake up not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and purposefully. Plan. Because the fire in you is not gone. It's just waiting to be reignited. We live in a world that praises productivity and speed. Plan. So whenever we feel off, heavy, sluggish, or drained, we assume we're physically tired. Plan. But exhaustion doesn't always come from lack of sleep. Sometimes it comes from carrying too much emotionally. Plan. From smiling when your heart is breaking. From pretending you're okay when your soul is aching. Plan. That kind of tired doesn't go away with rest, because it doesn't live in your muscles. It lives in your spirit. Plan. There are moments when you've had a full night of sleep, yet you wake up more exhausted than before. Plan. You go through the day mechanically, doing all the right things, but feeling none of them. Plan. That's not sleep deprivation. That's emotional depletion. It's your soul's way of saying, I need to feel again. Plan. I need to reconnect. I need more than just survival. But instead of listening, we keep pushing. Plan. Thinking more sleep will solve a spiritual crisis. It won't. This emotional fatigue builds quietly. Plan. You carry it when you silence your truth to keep the peace. When you shrink your voice to avoid judgment. Plan. When you stay in situations that steal your energy, but you call it loyalty or responsibility. Over time, plan. Your heart begins to close, your dreams go quiet, and your light dims. And yet, plan. You say you're tired, as if rest will restore what neglect has worn down. Plan. But you can't rest your way out of something that requires reflection and realignment. Plan. You must pause and ask yourself, what's really draining me? Is it the workload or the lack of meaning behind it? Plan. Is it the routine or the absence of joy within it? Plan. Emotional fatigue often masquerades as physical tiredness because that's easier to admit. But if you look closely, plan, you'll see the truth. You're not tired of doing too much. You're tired of not doing what matters. Plan. And until you face that truth, no amount of rest will feel like enough. Plan. There is a unique kind of heaviness that settles into your bones when you wake up without a why. It's not the weight of effort. It's the weight of emptiness. Plan. When your life becomes a series of to-do lists with no emotional connection, even the smallest task feels like a burden. Plan. You're not tired because you've done too much. You're tired because you're not connected to what you're doing. Plan. You're not exhausted by action. You're exhausted by indifference. Plan. Think about the days when you had something to look forward to, even if it was small. Weren't you more alive, more energized? Plan. More present. That's what purpose does. It fuels you even in chaos. Plan. But when you lose that purpose, or never discovered it in the first place, life becomes dull noise. You wake up, plan, go through motions, check boxes, but inside you feel like a shadow of yourself. You confuse this numbness with tiredness. Plan, when it's really just disconnection. Purpose doesn't have to be a grand mission or a massive life goal. Sometimes, plan. It's just waking up and knowing you're needed, that your presence means something, that your actions have impact. Plan. When you don't have that, when your day doesn't ask anything of your soul, your energy fades. Plan. And you begin to question everything, not because you're lazy, but because the human heart wasn't built for aimlessness. Plan. We're wired for meaning, and without it, we wither silently and slowly. Plan. You're not just longing for rest. You're longing for direction. You're yearning for something that stirs your heart. Plan. That reminds you why you're here. Because when you find even a flicker of purpose, plan, you don't need to be pushed out of bed. You're pulled by something greater, something internal, something eternal. Plan. And that pull is stronger than any alarm clock, any motivational quote, any external pressure. Plan. It's called alignment. And when you have it, plan. Even hard days feel lighter. There's a certain numbness that creeps in when you repeat the same routine, day in and day out. Plan. Without ever feeling connected to it. You wake up, go through the motions, tick boxes, plan, fulfill obligations. But somewhere along the way, the joy fades, the spark dims, and you begin to feel tired. Plan. Not because your body is overworked, but because your spirit is undernourished. Plan. Repetition without meaning is not peace, it's quiet exhaustion. It's burnout in disguise. Plan. People often confuse structure with purpose. They believe that being busy means being fulfilled. Plan. But busyness is not the same as meaning. You can be busy all day and still feel empty by night. Plan. You can follow the same schedule for years and never feel progress in your soul. That's because routines, plan, when stripped of intention, become cages. And when you're trapped in a rhythm that doesn't inspire growth or joy, plan, you start to feel like life is just happening to you. Plan. It's not the work that drains you. It's doing it without knowing why. Plan. It's pouring your energy into tasks that no longer reflect who you are or who you're becoming. Plan. It's waking up to a day that looks exactly like yesterday and knowing tomorrow will look no different. Plan. That kind of repetition doesn't build strength. It erodes spirit. It makes you question your worth, your value, your direction. Plan. Not because you're weak, but because we were never designed to live on autopilot. Plan. And maybe that's what your fatigue is really trying to tell you, that you've outgrown the life you're repeating. Plan. That your soul is craving change, depth, color, that your heart is aching for a different kind of day, one built on intention. Plan. Not just habit. When your routine begins to suffocate your creativity, your wonder, your joy, that's not structure anymore. Plan. That's stagnation. And no amount of sleep can restore a spirit that's starving for meaning. Plan. We often think the answer to our exhaustion is more rest, more hours of sleep, longer weekends, more time away. Plan. And while rest is important, it's not the solution when the real issue is the absence of something that excites your soul. Plan. Because there are people who run on 4 hours of sleep, yet carry more fire than someone who's had 12. Why? Plan. Because they're driven by something bigger than rest. They're fueled by passion. Plan. There's an energy that passion gives you that no coffee, no nap, no vacation can provide. Plan. It comes from deep within, from knowing that what you're doing matters, that it speaks to something real in you. Plan. When you're passionate, you don't have to force yourself out of bed. The dream pulls you up. Plan. You don't have to beg yourself for discipline. The purpose becomes your fuel. It's not about ignoring rest. Plan. It's about understanding that rest alone can't fix what a lack of passion has broken. Plan. When you're disconnected from your passion, everything becomes harder. The alarm feels heavier. The routine feels pointless. Plan. The day feels longer. You start to confuse this emotional fatigue with physical tiredness. Plan. And you keep trying to sleep it away. But sleep isn't medicine for the soul. Passion is. Plan. The kind of passion that lights your eyes, stirs your heart, and makes you feel alive again. Plan. That's what revives the weary parts of you. Not a nap, but a reason. So if you've been sleeping, plan, and still waking up tired, look deeper, plan. Ask yourself not, how many hours did I rest? But what am I waking up for? Because it's not your schedule that's draining you, plan. It's waking up to a life that doesn't reflect your fire. Reignite it, reclaim it, plan. Find even one thing each day that speaks to your spirit, and you'll see, plan. It's not more sleep you needed, it's more meaning. There are moments in life when you've done very little physically, plan, yet you feel completely drained. You haven't run a marathon, lifted weights, plan, or worked a double shift. But you're carrying something much heavier. You're carrying unspoken worries, unresolved feelings, plan, silent disappointments. This is emotional clutter. And it weighs down your spirit more than any physical burden ever could. Plan. It builds up slowly, quietly, until even the simplest tasks feel like mountains. Plan. Emotional clutter comes in many forms. Guilt you never processed, grief you never expressed, anger you tried to bury. Plan. Dreams you silently gave up on. It lives in the background, unacknowledged but powerful. And over time, it consumes your energy. Plan. You try to fight it with routine, with distraction, with more sleep. But it lingers. Because what you refuse to feel, plan, you're forced to carry. And that invisible weight turns into fatigue that no rest can fix. Plan. You start to notice it in small ways. When conversations feel too heavy, when decisions seem overwhelming, plan. When your patience thins out quickly, it's not because you're weak, plan. It's because you're full of emotions that have never had a voice. And just like a cluttered room drains your focus, plan. A cluttered heart drains your drive. You're not lazy, you're overloaded, plan. And healing doesn't come from running faster. It comes from finally choosing to pause and unpack what hurts, plan. The hardest part of emotional clutter is that it's silent. You smile through it, you function despite it. But inside, plan, you're slowly unraveling. And if you don't make space to feel, to release, to heal, your mind will keep calling it tiredness, plan. And you'll keep trying to fix your soul with surface solutions, plan. But clarity only comes when you clean the emotional corners of your life, plan. When you stop pretending you're fine and start asking yourself, what am I really carrying? Because sometimes, plan, the weight you need to drop isn't in your hands, it's in your heart, plan. There's a difference between being tired and being uninspired. But they often feel the same, plan. When your soul lacks something to reach for, something that sparks wonder or curiosity, life starts to feel dull, plan. You wake up feeling empty, not because you've spent too much, but because you haven't been filled. You go through the day, plan, checking boxes, doing what's required, yet it all feels hollow. And slowly you begin to think you're broken, plan, but you're not broken. You're just bored of living without beauty, without creativity, without inspiration, plan. We all need something that ignites us. For some, it's music. For others, it's writing, walking in nature, building, teaching, plan, painting, dreaming. But when you silence those things, either because life got too busy, plan, or because you stopped believing you deserve joy, the light inside you starts to dim. Not instantly, but gradually, plan, until you forget what joy feels like, until even rest feels like a chore, and peace becomes a memory, plan. That is what a lack of inspiration does. It starves the soul gently, and then all at once, Your body might be fine, plan. Your schedule might be manageable. But your spirit is whispering for more. It wants to be awakened, not just managed, plan. Because humans aren't built to survive on duty alone. We need delight. We need awe, plan. We need the kind of moments that make us pause, breathe deeply, plan. And remember that life isn't just about function. It's about feeling. And when you've gone too long without that feeling, plan, even the act of getting out of bed can feel like lifting 1,000 bricks. What you might need is not a vacation, but a vision, plan. Not less responsibility, but more wonder. You don't recharge by running away from your life, plan. You recharge by pouring life back into it. Find that thing, no matter how small, that wakes something inside you, plan. Read a story that moves you. Create something imperfect, stand in the sunlight. Listen to the rain. Let inspiration return, plan. Not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Because when your soul is lit again, tiredness has no place to stay. Somewhere along the way, plan. You began shrinking your dreams to fit your current reality. You stopped asking for more because you got used to getting less, plan. You stopped fighting for better because you became skilled at surviving worse, plan. It wasn't because you gave up. It was because you adapted. And adaptation is what humans do best. But sometimes, plan. That very survival instinct convinces you that settling is safety when it's really a slow surrender of your potential, plan. You learn to lower your expectations to protect yourself from disappointment. You taught yourself not to hope too loudly, plan, not to want too much, not to stand out, because somewhere in your past, being bold got you hurt, so you became careful, quiet, and comfortable. And now anything beyond your current routine feels foreign, even frightening. Not because you can't do more, plan, but because you've trained yourself to believe that what you have is all you should reach for. But the truth is, plan, your spirit wasn't designed to stay small. You were not born to just make it through the week. You were meant to rise, to stretch, plan, to soar beyond the edges of what feels safe. And that's why you feel so tired, not from trying too hard, plan, but from not allowing yourself to try at all. Settling creates an invisible cage, and over time, plan, even if you forget how you got there, a deep part of you remembers the sky. It aches for it. That ache you feel, plan. That restlessness that no nap can fix, that's your soul knocking, plan. It's the part of you that remembers who you were before life convinced you to shrink, plan. It's the fire inside that refuses to die quietly. And if you keep ignoring it, you won't just feel tired. You'll feel lost, plan. Because you didn't come this far to stop here. You came to rise. Not to settle for what is, but to reach for what could be, plan. And the first step toward that isn't grand. It's simply remembering that you were meant to fly. So, plan, the next time you tell yourself, I'm just tired. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, tired of what? Plan. Is it your body that's weary? Or is it your soul that's silent? Because rest alone cannot heal what passion, clarity, plan, and purpose were meant to awaken. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not behind, plan. You are just disconnected from what used to set your heart on fire. But fire can be reignited. Dreams can be remembered, plan. Hope can be rebuilt, not in loud moments, but in quiet decisions, like choosing to show up for yourself, plan. Even when motivation whispers no. You don't need more hours of sleep. You need more reasons to rise, plan. And those reasons won't come from the outside. They'll come from within. From reclaiming your voice, plan. From honoring your story, from believing that your life is worthy of energy, of light, of meaning. So tonight, sleep if you must, plan. But when you wake up differently. Don't just open your eyes. Open your heart. Open your courage. Open your purpose, plan. Because you are not tired, my friend. You're just waiting to feel alive again. And that life, it's still in you. Plan, still burning, still waiting to be lived fully, fiercely, and without apology.